1, 2, 3. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I wonder if you could come and take your seats. We're about to start our next session, very exciting session. It's almost setting the scene for the big event tomorrow that's going to be taking place in the Action Dome. And that is basically people getting money for doing the restoration work. So it's a huge day tomorrow, the Land Day. But what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be hearing a little bit more about how the G20 Global Land Initiative of restoring, or rather that 50% reduction in degraded land by 2040 can be achieved. We're going to hear from the people who are doing this. So why are we calling it the innovation stage? Well, we need innovation, whether it's tech, but we also need innovation in the way people think. We need what is referred to as the path breakers, the change makers. They are going to drive the change. They're going to bring their ideas, their ability to think outside of the box. And we're going to be hearing from these individuals every lunchtime during COP16. So 4 innovations in land restoration every day, 1.5 hour session right here in the Blue Zone, except for tomorrow. Tomorrow is that big event that I was telling you about where we're going to hear from we are going to be hearing from some of our pitchers, our business, restoration business leaders, and they have got an incredible prize coming their way should they win. So that's tomorrow, but otherwise we'll be here every other day to hear from people who are doing the hard work. So we also want to hear from you, a question and answer session. Restoration is big money. Restoration brings in money. Restoration supports families. Restoration supports communities. And ultimately, restoration adds to a country's GDP. So it pays all the way round. So we heard this morning from Dr. Murali. He was talking about some of the programs that the G20 UNCCD supports, and some of the members you'll be hearing from are actually members of YECO, and that is the program that empowers young leaders to create these impactful solutions for the planet. Today's theme then, innovative eco-tech or eco-tech initiatives to take land restoration to scale. That's always the problem, isn't it? How do you go to scale? It's fine on a micro scale, but we need for it to be taken to scale for governments to take it seriously. So our first guest today joins us from Kenya. We've got guests from around the world today, which is fantastic. Our first guest joins us from Kenya, Agri-Tech Analytics, where she's a CEO and founder, and she works with young ecopreneurs. She's a member of that herself, and she's working with farmers to help increase crop yields. So, Marianne Gichanga, welcome to the stage, and we are going to hear your pitch.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. I'm not going to start if you won't talk to me. Good afternoon. Great. So I want you to look at this. It's a part of our device before I start because I'll put it down. It's just a part of it. Okay? My name is Marianne Gishanga. I'm the CEO and co-founder Agri-Tech Analytics, a company based in Kenya. I'm excited to tell you how we use satellite imagery analytics and IoT sensors to halt and reverse soil degradation, crop pests, and diseases. So a little bit of background. I grew up in a 2-hectare piece of land with my 7 siblings. My parents were farmers, and I have witnessed the reduction of crop yield due to climate change, soil degradation, and poor farming methods. One day my father took a loan to pay for my education, expecting to repay it using yields due that season. The crops failed and our livestock were auctioned. That was the beginning of a downward spiral towards poverty. This situation is not unique to us alone. There are 7.8 million smallholder farmers in Kenya suffering 45 to 100% crop loss due to late detection of pests and diseases, and sadly 75% of the land they use suffers soil degradation. But we have a solution for them. And for us to guarantee these farmers an over 97% accuracy on reports and alerts we send them, we get data from two sources: satellite imagery data analytics and also IoT sensors. The data is analyzed and interpreted, and the farmer receives a simple alert on their mobile phone in their vernacular languages. The market size is big. We have over 33 million smallholder farmers in Africa who have the same problem, and 7.8 million in Kenya. We are looking to cover 30% of this demographic. Currently, we have 11,000 smallholder farmers monthly using our solution on a leasing model, and we look to double that annually until we get to 780,000 farmers. On a competitive landscape, we battle mostly with traditional farming methods that have been passed down from generation to generation. And we also have other private companies that have soil testing, but in the lab, so the farmer needs to take a sample to the lab. But as for agri-tech, we have on-site soil testing. We have real-time data on pests and diseases. We are accessible and readily available for these farmers. Our revenue model has an 88% of our customers on a leasing model where they pay $4.8 per month, and we could also sell the device out to the farmers at $148. On our impact, we're happy to report that with the farmers we've worked with for the last 2 years, they have reported a 75% crop increase by using our innovation in a year, reduce their farm input cost because we have targeted solutions for their problems. Close to 5,000 women have benefited from our accurate yield prediction tool as collateral for loans, and we've reclaimed over 120,000 hectares of land from soil degradation. Our ask is 250,000. That will see us rolling out version 3 of our device, which will have better capabilities in terms of pest and disease detected. The TAT turnaround time for soil testing will be 1 minute, and we'll be able to onboard over 74,000 farmers to enjoy our solution. This could not be possible without an able team of different disciplines who together we bring this solution to the farmers, and our amazing partners, both local and international, who've held our hands. Those are the conditions of the farm before meeting agri-tech, and those are the beautiful smiles we experience from our farmers after working with us. I hope that you can join us as we restore land globally.
Marianne, thank you very much indeed. And before we move on, Marianne is actually going to be pitching for a $50,000 prize tomorrow. Amongst other, it is a prize package. So if you can join us at the Dome tomorrow, you can hear Marianne pitch to business leaders as well as other peers who are going to be, you're going to be in competition with. Okay, Marianne, thank you very much indeed. Do sit down. We are very tight on time. So here's a bit of practice. How about pitching your story in 7 to 10 minutes? Brilliant. If you can't sell that to, Marianne, sit down. Yeah, wonderful. If you can't sell that to a stranger in 7 to 10 minutes, then something's wrong. The next guest is going to be giving you one of those. That's a toothbrush. And part of his pitch is after you've used that toothbrush, after 3 months, you can plant it and it becomes a bamboo tree. Ladies and gentlemen, from the Philippines, I'd like to welcome Mark Dawa Gasava. He was awarded the Outstanding Young Man of the Philippines. He's also been appointed the youngest executive cabinet member in the National Innovation Department in the Philippines, and he is CEO of Bamboo Hay. Welcome.
magandang hapon po sa ating lahat. That's greetings from the Philippines, and I'm so very privileged to be with you this beautiful afternoon. So my name is Mark Sultan from the Philippines. I'm the number 8 among 11 siblings, and during our childhood, our family used to be our livelihood came from the slash and burn farming. So I'm a founder of Bambuhay. We are a climate tech social enterprise focused in circular economy that implements solution to land degradation, plastic pollution, deforestation, and poverty using bamboo and technology. Plastic pollution remains a critical global challenge with more than 29 billion of plastic toothbrushes ended up in the landfills that significantly contributes to land desertification. In the Philippines, 49% of the country's total land area is already degraded. To solve this problem, we use bamboo and technology. So why bamboo? Bamboo is a renewable, resilient plant that thrives even in degraded soil where other vegetation fails. It keeps the root system stabilize soil prevention and retain water as essential for restoring dry lands. And it captures more carbon dioxide than any other plant, and you are going to plant it once and it will grow forever. So to solve the problem, so our flagship innovation is the first plantable toothbrush in the world that you can plant, that you can grow into a native tree after use or bamboo. It is a plastic-free, circular, and affordable than plastics. So it's toothbrush embedded in the bamboo handle with bamboo seed and native tree seed. In the Philippines, we embedded acacia, pine tree, wild berry, and bamboo. The packaging is 100% plastic-free, and coming soon, the bristles will be made from bamboo fiber. Let's watch this.
This Filipino is solving one of the world's biggest problems using only a toothbrush. He's growing more trees, he's using less plastic, and he's helping people in extreme poverty. But before I tell you exactly how.
Sorry, we're having some technical issues. Because we're not seeing it.
So this is a first plantable toothbrush. So how it works? So for our toothbrush, we use it for 3 months. And after 3 months, you can plant it and you can return. In the Philippines, we have our collection bins and even the packaging. If you can see, we don't use any adhesive in the packaging to make it 100% plastic free. So we have our regenerative reforestation site in the Philippines. Right now, we have 170 hectares that we are starting to reforest.
One of the world's biggest problems using only a toothbrush. He's growing more trees, he's using less plastic, and he's helping people in extreme poverty. But before I tell you exactly how he does it, I have to tell you about the problems he's trying to solve. You see, if your great grandfather had used a plastic toothbrush like this, as disgusting as it sounds, you might still be able to use that toothbrush today because it doesn't disappear. We're leaving billions of them behind for future generations, and they end up in places like this. But it was on this journey that I met this guy. His name is Mark Sultan, and when he was a kid, he lived in extreme poverty.
I come from a family of farmers who used to survive with $60 a month.
He lived through the problems that many Filipinos go through, and he wanted to fix them.
I noticed that a lot of the trash in my barangay was full of plastic toothbrushes, and it gave me an idea.
And that's when he created Bambuhay, a social enterprise that makes toothbrushes from bamboo that decompose in just 3 months. And inside of every single one of these toothbrushes is a seed. So after 3 months of using it, you can plant it in the ground and grow a tree.
The bristles and packaging can be used as a fertilizer together with the bamboo handle.
This toothbrush doesn't only help the environment, it also helps the people because they gave hundreds of Filipinos jobs.
We are impacting a lot of farmers, and all of them used to live in extreme poverty, like me.
For example, this woman Annaline has gotten out of poverty and even built this house for her family, all because of bamboo toothbrushes. Think about this. You can help to stop the plastic problem, you can reforest, and you can help reduce extreme poverty, all with something as simple as a toothbrush.
So that's how it works. And then we innovate the bamboo leaves into bamboo tea and all our waste byproduct in our production. We use it as a biochar that we use in our reforestation site. So the biochar was used for soil amendments or restoration and organic fertilizer. Our biochar increased the soil's phosphorus and potassium content that made the soil richer in this amendment by more than around 500%. And it reduced the growing time by the crops for up to 5 to 10 days. Here, so this is how it works because we want to integrate zero waste in our production facility. And for our environmental impact, so we're able to eliminate around 1,130 metric tons of plastics eliminated from the environment. And we reforest almost 725 hectares of deforested land. And that's equivalent to 6,780 tons of carbon dioxide. And this is one of our success story. This is before. And now it is now a fully grown forest after 3 years of restoration. So we combined native trees and bamboo. And for our social impact, we're able to help 68 families out of poverty by providing them green jobs and sustainable livelihood. So the advantage of our carbon or the biochar, so basically it is a cost competitive or cheaper than to the legacy products. The quicker crop cycles, removing the need for transplant in most commercial crops. And we have a recharge business. This is applicable for the greenhouses. That this is a model that we can use reusability and circularity into the growing media market through its substrate as a model for industry first and may drastically lower the cost of the greenhouses. So here, in what we are doing in Bamboo High, with this innovation, so as recently I was appointed as the youngest cabinet member or a minister by the President of the Republic of the Philippines. So we are the highest governing policy body in innovation and national development. So our bamboo innovations represent a breakthrough sustainable design and environmental restoration, providing a simple yet impactful solution to complex global challenges. It exemplifies the power of cutting-edge technology and creative solution to foster environmental resilience, promote social change, and contribute to a healthier planet for future generations. In Bamboo High, we innovate climate technology, creating an ideal transformation model business. Join us in Bamboo High in saving the planet and saving lives. Mabuhay, Bambuhay, restore a forest, with every brush, restore a forest.
Mark, thank you very much indeed. Thank you. And when we've heard from all of our panelists today, our business entrepreneurs, our restoration business entrepreneurs, we will hopefully get a couple of questions in as well. Our next guest left the business world. He says to return to nature. He hails from Thailand. I'm a little bit dubious about the snake aspect of your work, but you'll tell us more in a moment. So it's all about elephants, but also a snake rescue center. We don't need to bother with those, really. And Vijay has also been involved in a documentary. in conjunction with G20 and the UNCCD, Innovation in Land Restoration, a path for people and wildlife into nature, and that is for Thailand. He is the co-founder of Our Land Thailand. And just very quickly, whilst we get his presentation up, just to give you an example of why it's important to support these entrepreneurs and also to listen to them, I've already had a business card handed to me by a businessman, a minister, same thing. And he said, please can you pass my card on to Marianne? We need to talk. So there you go. It does matter and it does pay. Okay, Vijo, I wonder if you can come up, please. And I don't know if you can start your presentation without the PowerPoint. Can you start talking to our guests without? Fantastic. It'll just save us time. Yeah. Please, welcome. Sorry? Okay, that's fine.
All right. Hey, guys. Question. When is the last time that you guys were in nature? All of you here. When is the last time you remember? Any of you who's been in nature in the past 2 weeks, in a place that you consider you've been in nature, right? What is the first feeling that you get when you're out in nature? It's usually a sense of deep peace, right? So I'm going to ask you, I'm going to invite you for a quick activity, right? With some fact. Did you know by just looking at an image of nature, just a picture of nature, you can improve your stress recovery rate by 20%, right? So I'm going to ask you to join me for a very quick activity, everybody here. If I could just very gently have all of you just close your eyes. Some of you already closed your eyes, that's great, right? And I want you to imagine a place in nature that you absolutely love. And in that space, I want you to cut out all the sound that you're hearing right now. I want to think of the sound that you hear in that space. What do you see? What do you feel? Maybe what do you taste as well? And with that in mind, I want you to take a very slow, deep breath in. If you're underwater, make sure you got your scuba gear on. Now, very gently, open your eyes. This is just one of the activities that we do with children at Our Land, right? Our core objective is for children to understand the true love for nature. And today we have a video that was prepared by the UNCCD as well. Thank you so much for that. I'm going to start off with that video so there's a better explanation about what we do and then continue after the video. Yeah.
Our Land is a nature conservation effort. It's an effort to bring people back to nature again. You run a nature and sustainability education center where children and adults come to learn about being in nature or about sustainability and how to spend a good time in nature. The three core pillars of Our Land are conservation, sustainability, and education. As you walk around, a reminder, 2 of the species here are extinct. Can you identify which are the 2 species that are extinct? So, the answer is, you're right on this one, not up there, but down here, right? My name is Vijo Vergas, and we are currently in Guangdong, which is on the edge of the Western Forest Complex, which is the largest contiguous forest complex in Southeast Asia.
My name is Anshuman Tripathi. I am one of the co-founders of Our Land. My title is the CFO for Our Land, and I'm basically handling the sales and the book side of things. One of the biggest challenges in running a conservation project is balancing between your environmental responsibilities and your financial realities. Our approach in our land has been through providing travelers a nature-based education and allowing them to be directly in nature, in contact with nature, so that they understand the benefits that they get from it.
As I lived a life in the corporate world, I started to question the meaning of what I was doing. I would head out into the jungle. I was able to hear myself think. I felt calm in nature. Most people don't realize the impacts that their bodies go through while living in city. Whether that is impurity of the air, the sounds that they're listening to at all times, the kind of foods that they're eating. You're going down the river to get to our land. Cognitive ability is working. Accessing our land is a journey in itself. We float down the river for about 40 minutes, and then we get to the spot that the elephants come for a drink of water. Then we walk through the jungle to learn about how the elephants manage the ecosystem. Being in nature for children is really important. In developed countries, 5 to 10% of children have anxiety disorders. And I think a main reason is that they're not getting enough nature time. What we are basically doing is working on their biophobia. Biophobia is a fear that people have of nature. We're moving them from biophobia into biophilia, which is the love for nature. The piece of land that our land owns currently is part of a corridor that allows wild elephants to go from the Salakpra Wildlife Sanctuary to the Kweyai River for a drink of water. Our objective is to provide a corridor that allows the elephants to go through. We have not completed the corridor yet. They've only acquired about 12% of the corridor, and our objective is to acquire more so we can allow easy access for the elephants to go through. In the past years, we have been fortunate to put through documentation to the local government and put streetlights in place, because most of the crashes take place at night. When people are driving fast, they don't see a black, huge figure going across the road.
For the big seat, just use let's play. One seat only. Nice.
We take visitors out to the local communities and do activities with them, like planting new trees, like spending time at a wild tree nursery, caring for these little plants, and also visiting the community forest. We are about to head into the jungle, and we need a little bit of calmer energy. Right? We had a lot of high energy. That was fun. So, one hand on your chest, one hand on your belly. Right?
We all work in this industry through passion. If we weren't determined, if we weren't passionate, we wouldn't be out in the middle of nowhere trying to do this, or we wouldn't go out of our way to try to get there.
Our land is simply a deep love for nature. It's a need to be in nature. It's a need for people to realize that humans are not separate from nature. Researchers have looked into it, and they found that about 120 to 140 minutes per week is a good amount of time to be spending in nature. So that's what the Our Land concept is. It's just to bring people back into nature.
Thank you. Maybe if you can just switch over to the presentation. Yeah. I just might want to just explain a little bit about the Our Land business model, and that is primarily a very simple one. We run nature education programs and nature immersion programs. As you can see, these are immersion programs that we run. And one of the things that we primarily work with is biophobia. In the past decades, we have seen a massive increase in fear of nature. Biophobia is a very simple concept. People afraid of nature. In the past, you're afraid of simple things like you're afraid of a snake. You're supposed to be afraid of a snake, right?
Very.
And you're afraid of scorpions and centipedes. But in this day and age, we see children who are afraid of butterflies, of mushrooms, of dirt, of grass. And that is a trend that we want to reverse at Our Land, right? And that was the core mission. How do we do that? We run these education programs, we take the revenue from that, and then we channel that into land conservation. That land conservation concept has led us to protecting 12 acres into a critical wildlife corridor. But the true impact we've had is in the transformative effects on over 4,000 children that have come over to Our Land to do nature immersion programs. So I'd like to close by adding that our challenge, all of ours, we're all over here trying to protect nature. This whole program with the UNCCD is about protecting and conserving nature. But one important word there is that our challenge lies not in just about protecting or conserving nature. Our challenge lies in nurturing a generation of children who also want to protect it with us, right? Thank you.
Vijay, thank you very much. Thank you very, very much indeed. Okay, our final guest was born and raised in the Arctic. I mean, wow, that's fantastic. But currently resides in Belgium. So you've seen a plethora of different ecosystems and some very much at risk at the moment. A former director at MasterCard, another corporate who said enough and returned to nature. And Elena left the corporate world to begin her startup. And her ambition, I believe, is to create the largest soil cleanup using nature itself to heal nature. Please welcome to the stage the CEO of Earth Plus company, Elena Doms.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Very excited to see you today. My name is Elena Doms. I'm a CEO and co-founder at an award-winning nature tech called Earth Plus. At Earth Plus, we are working hard to restore soils from pollution and degradation with superpowers of plants and fungi. And then we turn plants' biomass into carbon-negative construction materials that literally stock CO2 in buildings. For decades, construction and industry were on a one-way road towards environmental wreck. Companies know we have to change, but there was a conflict between business economics and sustainability, leaving sustainability as a nice to have. Not anymore. We have an environmental and an economic model that brings these two from a conflict into a happy marriage. Let me show you how. Our story started with a huge scandal in Belgium around forever chemicals. The Belgian government went around and measured the blood of the people living around the factory of 3M. The concentrations were 10 to 100 times above the recommended limit. Chances are you might not have heard of forever chemicals, but they're everything that make things non-stick and water resistant, like our phones, our winter jackets, and our frying pans. But because of their useful properties, they do not decompose in nature, and they create this pollution that spreads really far. Scientists fear it will stay there for millennia. It's in our soils, in our water, in our food. 99% of us have forever chemicals in their blood. Global societal costs are currently $17.5 trillion a year. And this is how the map of pollution in Europe looks like. The map of the US looks very similar, and globally there is not even a map yet But everywhere we look, we find them, even in the Arctic ice and in the blood of the polar bears. After that scandal, my co-founder, Frederick Verstraete, ran one of the first pilots in the world to clean forever chemicals from soils with plants. They used a plant called industrial hemp, known for its soil remediation properties, and they managed to do the impossible. They proved that industrial hemp plants acted like huge pumps, transporting the pollution all the way from the soils through the roots and the stems into the leaves of the plant. The leaves were then separated and treated in a special way to get rid of the pollution, but the stems they remained absolutely clean, with no traces of pollution. So the stems were used to create carbon negative construction materials. Let me give you an example of such material. It's the darker one, which I'm standing next to. We like to call it a giant Oreo cookie because it's darker on the outside and white on the inside. Some say it looks like an ice cream sandwich. But what it is a building sandwich panel, a modular element used in construction. Traditional sandwich panel, the one next to Frederick, is made out of wood on the outside and fossil fuel-based insulation on the inside. Our sandwich panel is made out of hemp, the plant that you've seen before on the outside. It's actually stronger than wood because hemp is one of the strongest natural fibers. It helps us save up to 500 trees per hectare per year because we actually don't need to cut them. And it's fully circular. So at the end of life, we can chop this panel and make exactly the same wood as before. And on the inside of this sandwich panel is just hemp fibers and mycelium or mushroom spores mixed with it. And it grows by itself in 7 days. 7 days. Just imagine, we used to extract fossil fuels, transport them, send them through complex manufacturing processes, emit a lot of CO2 just so that we could insulate our homes. Now we can grow this insulation locally in 7 days. Now, cherry on top of the cake, because hemp grows really fast to 4 meters in just 4 months, it captures a lot of CO2. So this sandwich panel is carbon negative, helping us move closer to a vision of construction turning from a huge carbon emitter into a huge carbon sink. What we have as a result is a win-win-win. Better soils, better buildings, less CO2. That project gave birth to Earth Plus. In the last 2 years, we perfected our soil cleanup methodology, making it 5 times faster. Nobody in the world has done that. We also created new materials like plastic composite alternative out of hemp, which emits 4 to 6 times less CO2 than virgin plastic. And we increased our customer base by 100%. We also started thinking which other problems we could solve with a similar approach. Turns out we could help restore degraded agricultural lands too. And these are huge. You know this better than me. We are losing every year 100 million hectares of productive land. 52% of agricultural lands are already degraded, and that number will be 90% by 2050 if we don't do anything. Well, it turns out if we use industrial hemp as rotation crops, it needs 90% less water to grow, and it helps restore the soils, bringing the yields of the main crops up at least by 5 to 15%. This way we can push the deserts back and we can create local jobs through materials. McKinsey selected us out of thousands of startups around the world to help hyperscale our model. They said it ticks every box and it's the right thing to do today for our tomorrow. But we didn't stop there just yet. We thought, what if we could use technology to measure exactly what nature does and to make investments in nature-based solutions and land restoration irresistible? Because let's face it, we believe that technology and engineering will save us, but it's nature who will. Nature is so much smarter than us. So we partnered with Microsoft and Delaware to build a platform that will help us visualize the scale of soil pollution and degradation to encourage the urgency of action, and that will trace every project from fields into the final products with satellite imagery and data collection, resulting in near real-time ESG reporting for our partners and in ultra-transparent carbon removal credits. We're also working on AI models for CO2 sequestration and models that help analyze soil degradation reasons and predict regeneration potential. What are we looking for right now? 3 types of partners. First, companies and governments with polluted lands that want to work together with us to scale nature-based solution to the cleanup. Second, companies that are looking for sustainable materials who want to lower their emissions in construction, FMCG, tech, and luxury. And third, nature impact investors that want to work together with us on 30,000 hectare land restoration project. If this is the type of problems and solutions that you care about, come talk to us today or reach out to us here. Thank you very much.
Elena, thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Sorry, that happens from time to time. Okay, so there is a flavor of some of the work, the business of restoration. I'm going to very quickly just throw one question each to you. AI, Marianne, was it the need to solve a problem or the opportunity that AI offered? What came first, and how big a role is AI going to play in your business and the future of Africa?
So the need to solve the problem came first, and then we started exploring ways where we can make it more accurate, because when we started we had IoT sensors only, but we noticed a very big margin of error. So for us to be able to bridge that gap of error, we introduced AI, because AI comes with historical data, and it also has a predictive aspect. So it helps with detection of pests and diseases, and also gives the farmer a lead on how the farms were before. You're able to measure the degradation and also see how the weather is going to be treating you in the next couple of weeks. Yeah, so it makes it better.
And very quickly, monetizing data. You do realize the wealth of what you are holding in the work that you're doing.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, I'm going to turn now to Mark. Mark, bamboo, I'm talking as an amateur gardener, is invasive. How did you choose the right species of bamboo to plant within environments in which it will not overtake? I mean, that must be something that people want to make sure does not happen, because that brings problems in itself.
Actually, it's a myth that bamboo is invasive. If you cannot use bamboo, that's became invasive. But if you are going to continuously use bamboo, it is not invasive, because basically bamboo is renewable, regenerative. You cannot use you will not use any fertilizer, and this is the best example of regenerative farming or regenerative agriculture.
Thank you, Vijo. Fascinating what you're doing. Mental health and nature is basically what you've done. Many people would assume that you cannot make money or be viable, financially viable. Just very quickly, how do you convince business leaders, if you want to expand, for example, that investment, what is your top line pitch?
I think important to understand that mental health is tied up with conservation, and I think that all business leaders nowadays understand the need for conservation. They know that to go into the next level of conservation, and primarily our business lies with educational institutions, which are primarily focused on the betterment of the children. And they've clearly seen, especially the institutions that work with us, have clearly seen that children have transformed themselves after spending time in nature doing specific activities. There were a few pictures out there, right? So by doing this, they've noticed that the children's mental health have improved, or children have come back saying, wow, that was a really beautiful experience. And I think that's where the business aspect of it lies, because people are able to clearly see that, oh wait, better mental health for children means that it's a better educational model for the company
And
itself.
also, it takes the pressure off the national health system, because these are issues that society will have to pay for.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
And maybe just it might be a little more difficult in countries that do not have that system set up really well as well, for sure.
Thank you. I'm so sorry to rush you. Elena, wow. Hemp. Jeff Walling. Have you heard of Jeff Walling? I would encourage you all, particularly for those of you from the African region and the Middle East, look up Jeff Walling. He is of the Thomson Reuters family, but he has made it his mission to take hemp around the world. And my goodness, does it make money? It's being used in China at the moment to restore land. However, Elena, cannabis sativa, what is the first thing that many people will think, particularly nations that need something like hemp? Marijuana. That must be a huge business challenge for you. How do you get past that? Educate people. Hemp is a plant that's been used for generations, but suddenly it's the bad boy. We all know it's not. But how do you get over that?
Well, actually, hemp is new isn't always better. Hemp is the good old forgotten past. If we didn't have hemp in Europe, we wouldn't have clothes. We wouldn't have made ships to cross the
Conquer the
seas.
world.
We wouldn't. Yeah, unfortunately, right? But we wouldn't have homes. It's an amazing crop. It's even used by indigenous people. So yes, I would say in some countries we have to do a lot of education. But on the other hand, hemp is now in the UN special report. It's having a rise up all around the world.
Yeah.
And as soon as you can explain that you cannot get high from it,
No.
that it's actually an amazing crop where you can utilize everything, the top for food and for oils, and then for construction materials, remove CO2. As long as the regulation keeps changing and the governments keep using hemp for sustainable development potential, then our job is done, and we just have to go and do and restore nature with the power of hemp.
Helena, thank you very much. And I do know that Nigeria, very interested, the government of Nigeria, South Africa are taking it on board. Angola are also looking at it. They just have to change their regulations. So here you have an example of nations realizing that they have to change the way they think if they're going to fix an issue. And there you have the business of restoration and contribution to GDP. To all my guests, I thank you. I'm so sorry for rushing you, but we had to get more of you than, the questions. I think your story was so important. Thank you very much. Please make sure you come to the Dome tomorrow, because as well as Marianne, there'll be some of her peers who are pitching for the real money. They have got a set time to pitch their idea. They will be facing a jury panel of business leaders from different sectors. They will then be asked questions about their business model. They have to leave. There'll be deliberations, and the prize will be announced. I believe we've got 50,000. We've got a trip to China. You've got support from some pretty big industry names. So that is taking place tomorrow. Please come along. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I'm sorry I'm late. Thank you. Oh, let's take a picture. Let's take a picture. Come. Let's take a picture. Yes, very important.